let us now move to the next page here, dummy settings. I'm going to skip this for now because this is where a lot of the meat is going to come in. This is where a lot of the good stuff comes in. So I'm going to go to the third page first. I'm just going to go to gauge settings. This is pretty self-explanatory. One player health gauge, auto recover, infinite, or normal. If it's infinite, I won't take any damage. If it's normal, I'll take damage. I won't regain any health back. Or if it's on auto recover, my health will always come back. And it's easier to show because these 4 settings are the same between first player and second player. So I'll just show second player, for example. By default, it starts all the way on the right at auto recover. It's kind of weird, not starting on the left, but in any case, usability be damned. It starts on the last option, which is auto recover. And that's why when you actually see the opponent taking damage there, you see how much damage you're doing, and then afterwards their life comes back, right? You see their life regenerate. If I actually set them to infinite, it doesn't matter. You're not going to see how much damage you're doing. To be honest with you, I'm not sure what this option is for. I don't think it's particularly useful. The only reason why I can see this being useful here, I'll show you in a second, is that on auto recover, if you guys don't know this, your life meter is actually divided into 4 chunks. This is extra details. You don't need to pay attention to this if you don't want to know this right now. This has little to do with training mode. But your life has 4 chunks, 4 segments. It's from 100% to 50%, 50% to 30%, 30% to 15%, 15% to 0%. Okay? The reason why I point this out is because if you notice, if I keep hitting him with fierce punch, heavy punch I should say, it's always doing 80 damage, right? Whoops, he's stunned. Well, if I keep punching him like this, you'll notice that when his meter drains below 50%, all of a sudden the damage dropped down. You see damage scaling, say 95%, and the damage went from 80 to 76. That's because each segment that you run into, the damage starts to scale. So at the highest level, you get 100% of your damage. At the next segment, it's 95%. Segment after that is 90%. Last segment, 75%. That's just how damage scaling works in Street Fighter V. It's the exact same way that damage scaling worked in Street Fighter 4 as well. So, the reason why you might want to switch this to infinite is because, you know what, I don't want to wait for the meter to come back while I'm practicing my combos. So you just set it to infinite so you'll always have 100% of the damage. You don't ever have to worry about the fact that, oh, the damage is going to get scaled because you're doing the combo too fast before the meter recovers. For example, if I do auto recover here, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was a cool combo. Let me try a different combo here. And then you're like, oh, wait, I want to see how much damage it does. Let me wait for it to come back. Okay, now I can do it. So if you switch it to infinite, now you can actually test the combos to see how much damage you do, right? So you don't have to worry about... you don't have to worry. So right there, you're like, oh, okay, I did 293 damage. You can keep doing the combo over and over and over again. So there you go. Guts does actually work while you're blocking, actually. The white life that you gain is affected by Guts. Someone in the stream asked what Guts is. I can talk about that a little bit. Guts, I talked about how the meter, when it drains, you actually get automatic damage scaling, right? That's, in other games, is called Guts. You'll hear this referred to as Guts. It's just a natural... Some games don't have any of this. Killer Instinct, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they don't have Guts. You take the same amount of damage no matter where your life meter is. In Street Fighter V, it's consistent between every character. In a game like Guilty Gear, Guts is different for every character. Some people just have higher scaling at lower parts of their meter, at their life meter. So that's what a lot of people talk about when you hear the word Guts. If you hear that term, that's basically what it's referring to, is how much damage you're taking, depending on where your life meter is. Normal means that they just don't recover any health at all, and you're just going to see them start taking damage as it goes. So one of the cool things about this is you can just kind of gauge now how much damage you need to do before they die, for example. So I can do this mix up here, and then I'm going to do like you know, all these different combos. And interestingly enough, they will die at the end of this if I just do enough damage. So, oops. I'm trying to do fancy combos now. There we go. Boom. So he is going to actually die. And so when he dies, you just reset right back there. But this is a good way so that you can see how damage affects. You'll actually see some really interesting combo videos out there with Laura, for example, that have a setup that they do one mix-up. It's like a combo and do a mix-up, and then you're stunned, and then they do a combo so you can maximize and see how you can try to kill someone, see what the total damage is and everything like that. So if you don't want to... If you want to see them actually die and get killed and stuff like that, or get KO'd, you can just leave it at normal, such as that. Anyways, back to here. So critical gauge, this is your super meter. Auto recover is nice because, you know, I don't need to keep building up my super meter. You see that it refills there, so, you know, I can test this combo out a little bit. The problem with this is sometimes you end up forgetting that that's the situation here, right? So, watch me fiddle with all these things. So what ends up happening is sometimes you forget that, you know, like EX meters cost meter when you're sitting here in training mode. So you'll do things, especially if you have it set to infinite. So there's a possibility for infinite. So it's the same thing that, sorry, that's 2-player. So I'm going to set him to infinite here. And you can see now I have endless EX meter. So now I don't even have to wait for it to recover so I can test things around. This has actually happened to me, by the way, that I'm sitting here testing out combos and I find a combo and I'm like, this combo is so sick. And then I completely forgot that I spent 4 bars of meter, so it's a completely impossible combo. So I'll do something like, for example, I'll activate V trigger and I'll be like, ooh, yeah, into super like this. And I'm like, dude, that combo is so good. It does all this damage. And I just didn't realize that I used 4 bars of meter, right? So not always a good idea to set your meter to infinite. At least with recover, it takes a little bit to come back. But there's still the possibility that you might forget, and so you might accidentally do combos that are not allowed, for example. Oops, that doesn't work. That works. Sorry, I'm just testing things out myself. So maximum start means that whenever you reset the game, you always start with a full meter, but then as you mess around, it comes back normally. So it'll come back with me doing moves and with hitting him and such. So this is actually a nice way to test a lot of things, maximum start. Because like I said, if you're at restart and you come back, it's like, let me test this combo. Oops, I messed up. Restart, you're back here. So now you don't have to worry about the recovery. You don't have to worry about any of that situation. You can keep testing your combos and you'll know exactly how much meter it costs. Not only that, but you know, there's actually combos that will recover meter as you do them. So for example, if I do this combo here, whoops, you know, I'll actually see that this combo cost me a bar to do, but it built me a little chunk of meter. So this is a good way to test that sort of thing. And the final option is normal. So if I restart the game here, you'll see I start with no meter. This is kind of useful for you because you can see how much meter something builds at the beginning of a round, for example. So now I see that built up about half a bar. Yep, okay, so 2 of those combos will build me a bar, etc., etc. You probably won't be messing with this setting too much. You'll probably be leaving it at auto recover for the most part. In fact, I would say 90-95% of the time you'll probably be on auto recovers. It's not a problem. V-gauge, it's all the same thing. All the same thing. I don't need to really go into it. Obviously, you can spend V-gauge to activate V-triggers. So, same thing. Auto recover after it finishes running out. Can Ken spend his V-meter faster than everybody? I guess not. But after it runs out, basically what you'll see here is that it'll recover itself automatically. There we go. So it builds back up. So you can do infinite, so it's always full. You know, it'll still drain, but when it comes back, it'll come back full almost instantaneously. For this one, infinite kind of makes sense, to be honest with you. There's really no reason not to set this to infinite or auto recover. Either will work. Maximum start, same thing as super meter. Normal, same thing as super meter, as I've talked about. But auto recover, just going to leave it there. Now this is the interesting one here, V timer. So when I activate my V trigger, it's going to be normal, right? So I'm sitting here like, I want to test these V combos. You know, I want to see what's possible when I have V trigger on. Like, okay, that hits more times, etc. And you're testing around, and then all of a sudden your V trigger runs out, and you're like, oh, I got to remember to activate it again. So let's activate it again. Now I can test it again, etc. If you move this all the way to the right, it's going to set to infinite. Now your V trigger doesn't drain at all. So you can now test things here. You can stay in V trigger and test things. So for example, if you're Karen and you want to test how her V trigger works, you can stay in V trigger forever. If you're Cammy and you're sick of the fact that every time you do 2 special moves, your V trigger is gone, you can set it to infinite and do a bunch of tests in V trigger, etc., etc. Now, I did skip over one option here, which is minimum start, which makes no sense because that basically means when I activate V trigger, it goes away and it starts to rebuild. In fact, if I do that and I set it to infinite, I'm just going to activate it, it goes away, and I get it back. And so you're like, what is the point of this? Like, why would I want to do minimum start? Like, that just seems completely pointless. Well, for some characters like Ken, it actually isn't pointless, because Ken can cancel a lot of his moves into V skill. V trigger, I'm sorry. This gives him new combo opportunities. Such as that, for example, right? And what if I just want to test what's all possible? Well, you saw that when I activated V trigger, I had to sit there and wait for the whole thing to drain for a while, right? So if I put it here to minimum start, it goes away right away. But that means I can go back and test right away. So what if I want to test to see what I can combo after stand fierce V trigger? Okay, now I can sweep him. Alright, let me try fierce into fierce uppercut. Okay, let me try low strong into back strong. Okay, didn't combo. Okay, it comboed. Okay, so there you go. So it's possible. I just need to have better timing. So now you can actually test that. Oh, there you go. So that combos, right? So let me test low forward into like low jab. Okay, didn't combo. Didn't combo. And so, for example, you can now keep trying this over and over again without having to restart the match, without having to worry about letting your V trigger gauge drain or whatever like that. You can just test a bunch of these things, right? So, low forward into V trigger into low jab, by the way, does not work with Ken. Very weird. Low forward apparently causes less hit stun than low strong. Very interesting stuff to note there. But there you go. So now you can actually test that. So that's what minimum start is for. Again, probably not going to use it too often. It's probably best just to leave it at normal and auto recover. In fact, most of this page you probably won't be changing a lot of things. You'll probably leave things this way. This is the same for the second player gauge. Oh, actually, one other thing I should mention too is turning health gauge to normal. Setting everything to normal here actually does have one very good useful feature here. Is that if you set the dummy, so right now it's just a training mode dummy, if you set him to a human player, you can actually just go into training mode and simulate battles with another player. So you can just be like, okay, let's just play a bunch of fights. And so you could just sit here and play for a really long time. When the guy dies, it comes back right away. And then this way you can also stop in the middle of battle. And like say you did something and your opponent's like, wait, what combo did you just do? Oh, well, let me show you. Let me turn your life gauge to infinite auto recover. Alright, so what I did was cross up forward, back strong, fierce, hurricane. Okay? Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for telling me. Go back to normal and play again. This is actually a really, really good way to use the normal setting. So now you can play a regular match and at any point in time restart and you're back to a normal typical round start. And you guys can play, you have infinite timer, so you can stop, like let's say you sweep, Or like someone, like you're playing against your friend and he's across the screen and he goes uppercut and you're like, stop, stop, stop. Why did you uppercut from across the screen? Oh, I just wanted to do something. You know, you have this conversation with him. You don't have to worry about the timer and you can casually play against each other. If you're trying to teach, if you know how to play Street Fighter and you're trying to teach a friend how to play Street Fighter, this is probably the best way to learn. Don't play real matches. Play in training mode like this. This is very useful. There is no online training mode yet, Pixelated Soul. That will hopefully come in a future patch. I'm hoping it does. Ultra Street Fighter 4 had it, so hopefully they will add it into Street Fighter 5. But if you do online training mode, this is one of the best ways to do it. You can simulate real matches this way by setting all those settings. However, if you are by yourself, most likely you are just going to leave everything on auto recover, normal, like this. Most of the time, this is just how you're going to be training because you just want your resources to yourself and you're going to be testing things out.